Money. Alright, whatever I got right now, buddy, in this box is what smoking.
Yeah, I got mine over there.
Alright, it's a mystery grab.
I'm curious too.
Alright, I got two Cohiba Blues, a Gurkha.
What's up, everybody? My name is Big Skoom.
Telejohn the Don.
And you are, or we are,
Skoom Speech.
Bam! One, two, three!
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year's, everybody! You know, when we used to go out drinking, or if you ever go out drinking with your friends, no matter what time of year it is, when you cheers, you'd be like, Happy New Year's! I used to do that all the time. You been good?
Yeah, dude.
You look good.
Flying
I like the black and black.
Everything's mint. Yeah, dude. New Year.
Yeah, right.
Dude.
I got a couple things lined up for today. So, old age, right? A lot of people call it the second childhood. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? It's the second childhood.
Yeah.
Now, to go off into that, I heard, where's it at? So, I heard that true enlightenment is returning to childhood, but with wisdom. Like, not when you're 70, but doing it before then.
Wait a second. Say that again?
True enlightenment is returning back to childhood, but having the wisdom of an adult.
Wow. That's a bar. I think that makes sense.
Why?
I would take that literally, like, just for what it said.
Why does it make sense?
Because, like,
what does it even mean and why?
well, I don't know. I'm going to tell you this from a biblical standpoint. We'll back that off. So, God said, return to me as a
Child?
As a child.
Okay.
In like-minded of a child, where you're innocent, you know, you're not trying to pervert everything all the time, like, where some people's minds progress into. I wouldn't call it progression, but
Okay.
whatever you will.
Okay.
So, yeah, dude, I think that's a bar. But with the wisdom, being childlike, having fun, cracking jokes, laughing at fart sounds, you know, just being like a kid, yo. But still having the wisdom and everything else to fill in with.
I got a good question for you.
What do you think?
Do you think children are born perfect? Or like, maybe I shouldn't say children, because children's still pretty old. But you think we're born perfect? That's a better question.
I don't know about that.
Oh.
But I can build up the first one. From the idea of evolution, being a child and a baby is the closest to animal-like that we ever are. Because we don't know, like, not to bite a human until we get smacked in the mouth a few times. Your mom's like, stop biting people, you know?
Okay. I mean, so...
That's when we really instill everything. That's why, I guess you're right, we are just this close away from cannibalism. It's just the way to raised, like, just as a little kid, because... Right?
I mean...
Yeah, that all ties together, too, smooth, kid.
With what you said, I mean, you related us being close to animals. So... Are you trying to say like a natural type of...
Yeah, just in a natural habitat. We don't even understand our habitat yet, dude.
Is that as close as perfect as we can...
Yeah, I think so, right?
Okay.
Because everybody looks at a dog and just thinks, man, you know, like, backwards, that's God. But, you know, beyond that, too. Like, we all know dogs, man's best friend type thing.
They are.
Too. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's
like,
a good expression. Dogs are better than people.
That's what I'm saying. But that's only because of how the person is raised, which is why you could change the personality type of a dog depending on how a dog is raised. If they're super loving, it's because you're super loving and you interject. You know, they reflect what your thing is.
Okay.
Your vibration, really.
I agree with that 100%.
If your vibration is aggressive, they're going to be aggressive. If a child, their vibration around them is aggressive while they're growing up, they won't know not to bite people in the face.
It's
bath salts, then we got to call the cops and find out what's going on here.
It's interesting that you brought up the nature thing, because that's something I have written down. So, is the opposite of instinct, is that reason, number one? So there's instinct, so it's like, obviously you kind of guess what instinct means, or how I mean it.
Yeah, dude, if there's a fly around you, you're instinctively going to spot it, right?
So, instinct
of everything.
I agree. So is the opposite of instinct?
Your instinct is to catch you.
Bam!
Yeah.
So is the opposite of instinct, is that reason? Or like rationale or consciousness? Wait,
hold up. Start it again, take it from the top. Where were you at?
Is the opposite of instinct reason?
Okay.
Or rationalness or whatever.
The opposite of instinct is rationality.
Or if you thought for yourself.
It could be rationality or instinct. Like,
or if you thought for yourself.
well, I guess the second that you're overthinking it, it's trying to be rationalized.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Or even if
it's
you,
definitely the opposite. Then.
Well, without
the instinct, you're not going to overthink if you're going to catch yourself. You're just going to fall on your face.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
They definitely freaking, what'd you call it last week? It was the...
Polarity?
Yeah, polarity, the opposites of each other.
So, as we got more modernized, right, so not all archaic cavemen type, so as we got more modernized and away from nature, so that just means then we just became more conscious and more and with more rationale and reason.
That would only be the idea of evolution.
So that you agree. So like we're in nature, right? We're using instinct, and you know we're really archaic type Homo sapiens, or maybe we were Neanderthals, or you know all the evolution stuff they say. We were monkey-like.
For sure, for sure.
And then we got more modernized. You know, we went away from nature and instinct.
So you're saying theoretically that is what evolution is us growing away from the more...
Well, I'm glad that you're seeing the big picture, because I mean, you kind of know how I think about this.
Sure.
But so you're right. That is kind of where I would lead it to. That is where I would lead it to. I wasn't gonna, but you're right. That is where I lead it to.
Well, that's something that I guess really makes sense, you know, if you're gonna have the conversation.
So yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, that's exactly where I would go.
A larger picture of the.
I'm glad you did, because I wasn't even planning on talking on it, but yeah. So
no, I just agree, because think about it. A lot of people for none of their. Let me think. How do I want to word it?
Well, I mean,
if they never shaved a day in their life, you just have a Sasquatch.
So exactly what you said, and that's what I think, and it's pretty obvious, anyways. Yeah. So
a lot of humans actually have like hairy shoulders and stuff like that too. But think about it. Since you're wearing a shirt all the time and friction's always built up, your hair is not going to get coarse and long or whatever.
Okay.
It's the same idea. If you wear a hat every single day, eventually your hair would just stop growing.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, hey, at least that's what I grew up hearing.
Okay.
Yo, you can't wear hats all the time. Why? Because you're going to have like a ring like this.
Well,
I was like, what? So I don't know. But think about it still. A lot of people do have hairy backs and shoulders. But if they didn't wear a shirt all the time, it would only promote that hair to grow more. You get more sunlight.
Okay.
Yeah, vitamins store differently and everything. Even perspiring differently too.
This is pretty crazy, and this is, I'm going to try to censor it here, but I heard that, like, for example, like, African tribes, like, their DICKs are really big because... This
took a really crazy time.
I know.
I'm not going to play.
Because they don't wear, like, pants and underwear that are, like, constricting it, and if that makes sense? So, like, gravity is just, like, like, through evolution. So they're not wearing pants, right? Okay. They're wearing, like, loincloths or whatever.
Right.
They don't have tight pants, bundling everything up.
Yeah.
And gravity is just, like, dragging on it, pulling on it, and then with evolution and time... Isn't that interesting?
It becomes a freaking giraffe.
It just becomes, like through evolution, we're walking around and I don't have pants constricting it for hundreds and thousands of years or whatever.
Yeah, but still, I think. Yeah,
I don't know how true that is.
I don't know how true that is. Just because of the idea of. No, I don't even want to get into this conversation, really.
Well, I think it would make sense, though.
It's just super interesting.
I think it would make sense.
Well, what I was going to say was, then wouldn't that mean that we would see more animals, like giraffes and things like that, reflect the same kind of outcome? But like I said, I don't want to get tangled up in this conversation. That's
pretty interesting too.
Yeah, right. So I don't know.
That's pretty interesting too. Mm-hmm. That is interesting.
I don't know how deep you want to get into the.
Yeah, I guess we won't
start saying pause after somebody.
I guess we won't get too deep into it, but to where I was going with one thing is where, like, so yeah, right. We stepped out of nature. We got more modern. So we got rid of instinct. Our reason, and rationale, and consciousness boosted up. And then, I feel like, and then, like, doubt and fear starts creeping up. Because when you're using an instinct, there's no fear or doubt, right?
Right, exactly.
That's acting. I don't have fear, I don't have doubt.
Right that punch of whatever resolves whatever's happening right now the quickest would be instinct, right? Your eye is itching, you quickly itch it.
No fear involved in
reaches
that.
for your face, and you move your head, like something
Exactly.
happens. You even flinch your eye, like something happens
Exactly.
without thinking about it. There's all these micro things going on at the same time in the same second. That's why I think that like reading facial features and stuff like that, asking people certain questions, is always super interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up. It's like dark psychology and stuff, but
So maybe we'll see where I'm going with this.
Sure.
So I'm not using my instincts. I'm using rationale.
Yep.
Since I'm not using instinct, there's fear and doubt involved in the rationale that I used. Right? Well, we just agreed to that. So right.
yeah. Of
And
course.
then for protection,
Yep.
we're like, all right, well, we got to develop some sort of culture.
Sure.
Right?
Sure,
I need to envelop all these people around me. That's going to help.
And the culture can divide into cliques.
Exactly, and I think one of those cliques is religion.
Well, I would
think
agree. I mean, that's the way that they relate, and they come together over that one thing. I mean, it could be religion, it could be music, though. I mean, you got cliques over everything. There is.
that's awesome you brought up music, but
Yeah.
as I've been as I always listen to audiobooks, listening to more stuff, exposing myself, it's just another compelling reason why I just take the stance that I do. I really feel like religion was just developed through time, kind of because of what we just talked about a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's just a clique, really. Then, I mean, like with anything else, you got sport cliques and other things too.
I mean, I think that's
people
why
in Florida that support Green Bay Packers and stuff like that.
Okay,
It's still part of a clique.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? A fan base kind of thing.
This is a little bit of a stretch here, but with what we just formulated, we could say, probably be wrong, but we could say or claim that that's why animals don't have religion, because they just use instinct, and they don't have to have any
survival instinct, right?
Yeah, and they don't have to have any fear or doubt, which doesn't need to lead to a culture,
right?
Which just through time that culture could have developed religion. But yeah, since they're just using instinct,
I don't know still, because we do still see large animals in certain packs, wolves and lions, hyenas also hunt in packs. So I don't know still.
I think that's I would imagine that's probably an instinct.
Yeah, right, because it's only for the better of themselves. Well,
yeah.
I guess, yeah, but that would still be, I don't know, still. It's still a group for sure.
Well,
they're
yeah.
all in it just to survive, you know what I'm saying? For themselves.
I agree.
My stomach hurts, so I'm going to go hunt. These guys are going to come win because they're problem.
I agree.
Yeah. So.
That could almost be called culture too then, almost.
I would agree.
Yeah. So it's great that you brought up music, because my next thing, right, and I'm getting all out of the boxy here for me, but... So, back on evolution, I guess this is an evolutionary themed Skoom Speech today, but...
Well, just call it evolution and we'll be good.
So I wonder if good singers... Or I wonder if there is good singers, because people who couldn't sing good died. So here's what I mean by that. Right, a long time ago... Like you said, right, we developed culture, all these cliques, right, all these cliques. So let's say in this corner, a long time ago, there was a clique of people who sang.
Sure.
And then there's all these other cliques, whatever, strong, who could fight, who could, make fire, all the other cliques.
Sure,
Just
sure.
like singing clique.
Okay, bet.
So they couldn't sing, some of them didn't sing well, some sang good as others. Right, and then whatever, evolution, right? The ones who couldn't sing died because they couldn't reproduce, and the ones who could sing did reproduce. And I wonder if that kind of led to good singers now. Does that make sense at all?
I don't know, dog, but it sounds like a good story.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe here's a better way to say it.
All right.
I don't know. I wonder if, all of a sudden, people just popped out of nowhere and were like, "Oh, we can sing great now," or if it more just developed through evolution. Maybe that's a better way to say it.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you think just...
Well, I think...
Let's say the first
part
person...
of singing, though, comes into word pronunciation and things like that, especially the language that is being performed in.
Of course.
So, I don't know.
Here's a better question. Do you think it's more like... Let's say the first singer came around 10,000 years ago. The first person to ever sing, right, was 10,000 years ago.
Sure.
Let's pretend.
All right.
Do you think it was likely that person just could automatically sing good? Or do you think that being able to sing good developed over time?
I think it develops in the person over time.
That's what I think, too.
Because it takes, you got to practice at it. Like there's
I agree.
different vibrattos you can do, and lung inhalation, and then how you can control your breathing. There's a lot that goes into singing.
So seeing how
But
we,
I think that is something that you can be taught.
so seeing how
So
we,
it's a skill.
so seeing how we agree with that, then technically that would have to mean, and this is like super weird to think about, but technically that would have to mean that, like, yeah, what I said, there was people who could sing, the people who couldn't sing, they died. They just died because,
So you think that nobody that sings today died? Or nobody that sings good today? No. What did you say? Everybody that sings bad died off. Dude, I can't sing.
well, no, I meant like let's pretend it's 10,000 years ago, whenever singing first started.
Sure.
I would think the only reason now that people could sing good is, right, we'll go back to evolution, right?
Sure.
So people used to sing and sing and sing, practice and practice, practice.
Right.
I think, that character skill trait or whatever
Sure.
developed over to the generation to generation, to their kids, to their kids, to their kids, to their kids.
Right.
Like all evolution. And like survival of the fittest or whatever. So people who were singing back then, who were bad at singing, in this little subsection,
Sure.
along with all the other, things evolving.
Sure.
It just doesn't make, it's like a weird thought, but it's just crazy to think that. I would think the people who couldn't sing good back then died, and people who could sing, were able to meet a mate and reproduce, probably because of it, probably because they could sing. It was like what you said that one podcast when we were talking about, like we were talking about how, you're a dude and you know a lot about cars, and there was a girl who was interested in cars. You would have high status to that girl because
Sure.
you know a lot of cars, and she is interested in cars.
Commonalities.
So it's the same with the singing, like
The commonality between the male and that woman.
Well, if the girl is interested in singing, 10,000 years ago, or whenever this happened,
Sure.
and you had skill in it, and you were good, you were able to be high status to that woman and reproduce, and then pass that good singing trait on. And the ones who didn't, they just died. Like, I don't know. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, but I don't.
That's what I would think.
I don't think that works for that one, just because we still have very good singers in 2025. Happy New Year, and bad singers.
Well,
I mean, you can't tell me that everyone you could put on is gonna be like. To me, Adele is a very good singer.
yeah,
You can't tell me that everyone you're gonna put on is gonna sound like Adele.
yeah. That's not.
I
That's,
mean, like even Evanescence. Like, yeah, she also is a good singer, but they don't sound alike.
well, no, I'm not trying to be so whatever binary or literal with it. Like, I'm not saying like
biased.
no binary, like
Binary?
yes or like two options. Bi.
Oh, okay.
Like
Oh,
yes or no.
Mm.
Every good singer who was then is now a good singer now. No, I don't mean that. Like,
Okay.
I'm just saying. Let's see how I can word it. I'm trying to say that.
I mean, like I said, with some things, this conversation makes sense.
Yeah. It's just.
But
like,
just for singing, I don't think so much.
Well,
That's something
here's-
that you can build on by yourself. If I really focused on it, maybe paid a tutor to teach me how to sing well, I could sing well. Maybe. Depends on how much energy I really want.
well, you're taking it super literal.
I'm sorry, dog. I'm trying to relate to what you're saying because
Well, let's
I
backtrack.
just don't think that for singing this makes too much sense.
Here's
but
why.
for other things, good genetics, muscularly, and things like that. If you run fast because your ancestors, someone your ancestors chain could run fast too.
Here's why it does make sense.
Okay.
We'll pretend again. Go back. We'll take a couple steps back. The first time somebody ever sang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it 10,000 years ago.
Sure. I don't think that probably matters so much, but yeah, the first time that this person really just went all out, did some opera, and blew it away. Really good singing.
Out of 100% chance in this made-up scenario, how likely do you think they were great at it?
When the first attempt was ever made,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible.
Exactly.
They didn't know what they were doing.
All right, and then now people could sing well now, though, right?
Right.
So, how could that be possible? Is maybe the better question. And I feel like the answer was like the thing I was proposing. The first person who ever sang in
It
the
came from evolution, but I think it just came from trial and error. We know what we like to hear and what sounds pleasing. But what sounds pleasing to everybody isn't always the same either. So that's super subjective.
No, I agree with you. So, do you think trial and error, right? Like you said.
Yeah, trial and error.
So, do you think there was any consequences for the people who failed?
Of course, yeah, they are not singers now.
Because, like you said, there's clicks, right?
Yeah.
There's clicks.
Right.
We had culture. and then all these cliques started forming up, right? Oh, these people are really focused. They're passionate and focused on hunting. These people are passionate, focused on making shelter.
Yep.
They like to gather water.
Sure.
They like to
do
whatever,
build houses or whatever.
This section over here likes to sing.
They like to sing.
And
I get it.
They were really bad at it.
Yeah.
So we're only talking about this little group.
So then they all became the hunters, the fishers, and the gatherers, and
so
the shelter builders.
So the singer group.
This guy over here cuts trees.
The singer group probably started off bad.
Sure.
And so how could there be good singers now? I mean, I feel like the only way that could be possible is through whatever, survival of the fittest. Some could sing better than others.
Sure.
They were able to get a mate because of that. And this little group of people who are focused on singing, who care about singing, who are singing means something to them.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, well, that person can sing. I'm attracted to that person. And being able to sing good now had to come from somewhere, I feel. It had to come from somewhere.
I agree. It's got to come from somewhere.
So I would think that people who couldn't sing, they had to have died. They died. They couldn't pass that singing trait on along. Does that make sense? No?
I mean, to a degree, but
I feel like that's what it would have to be for everything.
I can agree with that.
For everything, it would have to be like that.
Yeah.
If they were once bad and now people can do it really well, that had to have came from somewhere. And I guess it would have had to come from evolution.
Trial and error, and then a little bit of evolution, sure.
Yeah.
All right. Or this person is doing it well, so let me try to do it a little bit better. And then tweak it like that forever.
Well, yeah. I mean, you just have to pass it to your kid, right?
Yeah.
And then they pass it to their kid. And then they pass it to their kid.
Whatever makes something easier here and there.
And now people can sing good.
Sure. It could be with anything. I don't know if singing is like a good thing to have a conversation on, because we can look at like just engineering. Engineering is something that we could definitely all agree on.
Okay.
At least I would hope so. So we went from the Model T, a car that didn't go over, 15?
Okay.
Well, we started horse and buggies, then we went to the Model T, and then we went from the Model T to the hot rod era, which was freaking awesome. And then we went from the hot rod era to the supercar era, which is good.
You have me thinking now. Do you really think anyone who practiced hard enough could actually become a good singer?
Yes.
You really think so?
I think it's been tested.
Huh. I don't know.
If you practice at anything, if you really are passionate about it and really care about it, dude, if you practice at anything, you'll become a G.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm at least that's what I've lived my whole life.
Huh. I guess that has to be true.
Where I've always heard, so.
I guess that makes true. I guess it would have to be true. You made me think of something else. You ever heard that, like, there's so many like expressions about practice makes perfect, but one that I've heard is like, let's say you practice something a lot.
Yep.
I hear that, and then you're finally into the position to show what you've practiced. I heard that you don't rise to the occasion. You just fall down to
your typical. Well, I want to say
have you heard that
you
too?
Digress.
Have you heard that too?
No,
what I'm saying?
I can definitely relate, because sometimes I have what do they call that, stage fright. So it's it could be something I do all the time.
Yeah.
Then as soon as I have to do it in front of a crowd, I'll choke for no reason. Stupid stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I mean.
It's like stage fright, yeah.
It
is definitely a real thing.
That's exactly what I mean. Like let's say you practice driving a lot, or let's say you practice driving.
Mm-hmm.
When you're finally in a situation where you have to drive good, you don't rise up to your greatness of the driving that you've had culminated through this practice.
Yo.
You drop down to wherever your practice, whatever it actually got you.
What I was about to say was, however old you are, you've been probably walking for your age minus 2 years, if you will.
Okay.
Right? But no matter when you get pulled over and ask you to do a sobriety test, we all forget how to walk. So yeah, we definitely fall to the occasion.
I've heard a couple of interesting things about walking. I hear one thing I've heard is that it's technically
tripping and catching yourself.
Yeah, calculated falling or something like that.
Right?
Where'd you hear that from?
Dude, I don't know. A long time ago.
I heard that from Jordan Peterson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I also heard that if someone is whatever the word is, I might not be paralyzed, but if they've lost their function to walk cognitively, if you stand them up and put them on a treadmill, their legs will move on their own. Heard that.
Dude, I
from Jordan Peterson
I
too.
wouldn't want to try that just because I'd feel bad for that person. But
I'm sure you put him in a harness or something.
I don't know. I feel like that would just be cruel, personally.
I also heard that, this is again from Jordan Peterson, that if someone's blind or can't see, but you show them different facial expressions, like angry facial expressions,
that they can still tell you what you're doing.
well,
Or if
that
you mean them harm or something.
well, that their body will react to it. Like they'll start to sweat more, or their heart rate will go
That's
up,
what it was.
even though they can't even see you. Like,
That's super interesting.
that is super interesting.
I don't know what the heck that means.
I know it. I know a little bit what it means.
That means that you never really go blind.
Nah, it's
because there's so many senses in the body that can sense things around them that it doesn't matter if you can speak.
well, it's a couple things it means.
You never really go visibly blind, is what I meant to say.
Well, that's I've heard too.
Yeah,
but
what I've heard.
That's
kind of what I've done to believe.
It's true, from what I've heard. But you know, to sum that up in the easiest way is your brain is not just in your head. That's the easiest way to sum it up.
That makes sense because it's all the way down your spine, really.
Yeah, and like your your nervous system and all that.
Everything.
Yeah, people think your brain's only right here, but your brain is technically throughout your whole body because of all the little nerves and everything.
It only makes sense.
It's apparently the truth.
It only makes sense. Like, that's crazy. You know, there's like different ways you can tie your hands together and stuff like that, though. And then like try to move one finger, but it's really the opposite finger and stuff like that. Like somebody will point at the finger and then you try to move it.
No, I've never heard that.
Then you move the wrong finger.
I've never heard that at all.
Yeah, that's funny. It's like,
I think it has to do with like there's so many interesting things about like the brain and kind of evolution a little bit. Like I've heard that like our bottom hemisphere of our eyes are like made to detect things that look like snakes.
what?
Yeah, I told you that. Jordan Peterson too,
Dude,
but
I would never believe you, dude.
I know, right?
Well, I don't know.
Well, you know another crazy thing?
Yes.
I'm just spitting all this Jordan Peterson stuff now. But I heard that the reason why we have colored vision is so we could detect ripe fruit.
That makes sense, though.
That's what I've heard.
That makes a lot of sense.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I heard...
So is that what we consider a fact?
I heard of Jordan Peterson, so I don't know. Well, I think her name was something Gray. And she was like I didn't think you technically called her a behavioralist, but where she did a lot of time studying like monkeys and stuff like that.
Okay. So monkeys can see color too because they gotta know what berries to eat?
I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure.
Bananas ripe and stuff?
I don't know. I don't think they see in color. But you know another thing I've heard. This is crazy too.
All right.
Is that so? I don't know if you believe we came from monkeys, but let's say we did. A monkey's eye is all black.
Mm-hmm.
So, and apparently at one point our eyes were all black. Obviously, we have whites in them now.
Yeah.
So people's eyes who are all black either died, killed, or didn't reproduce, because it's like sketchy, and you don't know what they're doing, where they're looking. So we developed the whites in our eye because of that. That's what I've heard from Jordan Peterson, from that lady. Yeah, like think, right? You came from a monkey, right? Or a gorilla, whatever. At one point, your eye was all black.
Right.
That part would have to be true if you believe the supposition that we came from monkeys. Your eyes were all black, and people didn't know. Right? We're trying to develop culture, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying to have these rules that we all follow, that we all act out, right? You don't kill, you don't steal.
So our eyes are smaller now because we have no morals?
No. Well, in a sense, yeah, right? Just work with me for a sec, right?
Because if your eye was all black, why would that entice you more to...
Hold up. So, right, me and Neanderthals, right? We're cavemen. We've just separated from our ancestral monkey, right? We're trying to, wear loincloths and, live in a culture, right? Because we have all this fear. So we're trying to all come together to get rid of doubt and fear.
Right.
And, I'm looking at you, right? Let's say I have a wife, for example. I'm looking at you, right? Your eyes are all black. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing, what you're up to, what you're thinking. I don't trust you.
There's nothing to read here.
I don't trust.
Fear overcomes because there's nothing to read. Because you're not sure what they're looking at or what their intentions could be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like now you know, right? If I'm looking up, you know I'm looking up. If I'm looking at you, you know I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
And so, basically, yeah. So people with black eyes got eradicated. That's what I've heard. We once all had black eyes. We all had black eyes.
Yeah, no,
your eyes were black,
is...
my eyes were black, and they got eradicated. They got, they went extinct through evolution, through mating, through survival of the fittest, through, whatever the word is too.
So then we wouldn't be from them if they got eradicated, because you and I don't have all black eyes.
Well, technically we were, right? I mean, I think, I don't know. I know Homo sapien was the last one, and I think before then it was like a Neanderthal.
Right.
And then...
Well, I agree.
So probably the one right before that was probably when our eyes were still all black.
I wonder if Sasquatch has all black eyes.
Do you believe in Sasquatch?
Why not?
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I take it to be true. I take it to be true. Well, technically, if you believe you came from a monkey or a gorilla or whatever, it would have to be true. Because if you Google a monkey right now or a gorilla or wherever we came from, their eyes are all black. Ours aren't.
But we don't have tails.
Technically, I guess we still have that little tailbone or whatever.
Do have a tailbone.
That's what they say.
I always thought we came from the closest side of fish because...
Well, that's true too.
Tadpoles first.
That's true.
Either frogs or...
That's actually
fish.
so interesting
like
you brought that up.
More of amphibian than a...
It's very interesting you brought that up.
Like that.
That's why...
But it is interesting too. We have, but we have web things. I don't know, man. There's so many different... Because I don't count it out. I definitely don't count it out.
Well, one, you're right.
As much as we both hate science, I wouldn't count that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
And like, this is like a huge meme, but Jordan Peterson, like, he's like, whatever. I don't think synopsis is the word. But whenever people bring up Jordan Peterson, they always bring up, like, lobsters.
What?
You never heard that?
I never heard that, no.
Okay, so anyways...
The frick, is it a Futurama reference or something?
No.
To the lobster
No,
boy?
dude, no way. Biology. But...
What? Jordan Peterson's a lobster?
No, they always bring it up because he's, like, obsessed with lobsters because... So many reasons, but the simplest reason is because lobsters have a hierarchy that's functioning off of serotonin, which is the same thing that we function off of.
Right.
And, lobsters apparently are older than trees, apparently. They're like 350 million years old.
What?
And...
So they go back to the dinosaur era?
Yeah. And...
Alligators don't?
And... It's a whole bunch of crap. We'll get into it later, but... Where I was going with that is, we essentially did come from fish.
Oh.
And the last thing I find interesting that kind of relates to that, because there's this one guy that they talk about who thinks that after we became land animals, we went back near the water, and that's why, whatever, we, are born knowing how to swim, and, we have web feet and stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing that's super interesting, that the last thing I wanted to bring up is that, and I don't know how this relates, I know we have salt in our body, but, we cry salt tears, which apparently a lot of, underwater animals do.
Yo, is that why they call them alligator tears? Because, no, never mind.
That's supposed to be fake.
Yeah,
when you're fake crying. I don't get what that means either.
I don't really get it. I was just trying to think because it was fish and it sounded cool. But, yeah, I don't know. That one makes some more sense to me personally. But, I don't give full credit to anything.
Another super interesting thing is that's why girls wear bright clothes and red lipstick, because it's supposed to resemble ripe fruit. Isn't that interesting?
Never thought of that.
That's apparently a fact.
That's my question though. How do we know that's a fact? Because there's a lot of women that are still,
There's a lot of literature, man, a lot of research out there.
Mm.
I know, whatchamacallit. I'm trying to think. It might be entropy. I bet you're probably right. I think it's entropy. But that is the study of animal behavior.
Okay. Sounds about right.
And so yeah, they use they use a lot of that. Like Jordan was cracking up, man. But like for example, they do a lot of tests with rats.
Yep.
And he'll be like, oh well, like let's say I bring up a test about a rat, right?
All right. Yeah.
And the first thing you'd probably say is, I'm not a rat. Or like, how does that relate to me? I'm not a rat, essentially, right? You're like, dude, I'm not a rat. That doesn't help me.
I guess.
He'll be like, well, a rat is a lot more like you than whatever you think that you're like.
Yeah, right.
So they use a lot
So
of...
that's destroying the idea of the ego. So then that way you can say, all right, let's talk on a serious level here. Just trying to level the playing field. You know?
Well,
you
no.
know the IQ of a rat's pretty high, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, it's actually... Dude, if you Google average IQ numbers in the area you live, or the country you live in, and then Google the IQ number of a rat, I don't remember what the numbers are personally, but you look them up. It's freaking...
Do rats have hands?
Yeah.
They do, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
They definitely have, like... Yeah,
Little hands.
Their paw looks just like our hands, dude. But then they have, like, back feet like a dog. Like a... Well, I should say like a rabbit. Right?
Hind legs or something?
I think so, right?
I think so.
I don't know. I never personally really paid attention. My cats kill them all the time, and I just don't know. It's like...
Dolphins are supposed to be smart.
From what I understand, yeah, dude, dolphins will remember you. If you go on a jet ski ride in Florida, and then go back a year or two later, and that same dolphin sees you by any chance,
yeah,
he'll remember you.
Dolphins are really weird animals, dude.
People pay a lot of money to go swim with them every single year. Do you remember about that?
They're really weird animals. This is probably get censored too, or whatever. But there was this woman who would freaking have an intimate relationship with a dolphin for a very, very long time. Yeah, like dolphins.
People are wild.
I know.
Wasn't there one just in the news, like just yesterday, 2 days ago, or something, talking about that too?
Really?
Not that situation,
Oh,
but I
okay.
think it was with a dog or something.
Oh,
Crazy still, right? Like, dude. Humans, buddy, what the heck?
should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess we're gonna get to the end of this real quick, man.
Happy New Year's.
Yeah, drop a comment down below and let us know what your New Year's resolution is. I'm gonna be checking in on y'all guys.
What's your New Year's resolution?
My New Year's resolution? Let's see.
I mean, I don't know if, or maybe we should say a goal, right? What's your goal for the new year? Because resolution is supposed to.
I already have a lot planned, fam. I don't know. My goal is to make everything I have currently planned go smoothly. That's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's at the end of this year, so.
All right, you heard Tyler's, guys. Drop a comment.
Yeah, everybody else, drop your comment down below. Let me know what they are. I'll call you out. This has been College on the Don.
Big Skoom, baby.
This has been Skoom Speech.